Welcome back, everybody. You got Will and I Man here from the Block Runner, and today we're going to be talking about Acala. So Polkadot. Polkadot is going through a mania right now. Finally, you're able to do a crowd loan, and Acala is likely going to be the first one onboarded to Polkadot.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, we're gonna see likely like a repeat of whatever happened on Karura, right?
Yeah,
So if I recall correctly, Karura went for I'm sorry, whatever happened on Kusama
Kusama. Yeah,
parachain auction. So Karura went first, and I'm pretty sure Moonbeam's sister cousin, whatever you want to call it, went second, which is called what? Moon River. I think that was number two.
Yeah.
So I'm assuming Moonbeam will probably be number two here as well. And I think the number three spot, I don't know. We got to go back and look, but
yeah.
Most likely, a lot of the happenings on Kusama are going to be, repeating themselves here on Polkadot. So, nonetheless, this is it, dude. We're finally here.
Yeah.
Like the moment we've been talking about
for like a year.
Probably since the start of the year, yeah.
Yeah.
So we finally got here, dude. It's pretty crazy.
So
where the year has gone, I have no idea.
So we've talked about Akala in the past. I mean, we talked about Moonbeam and all these projects that we suspected to get on Polkadot, and they have pretty huge followings, right? That's why they're going first, right? They were first in Kusama, then now they're first in Polkadot, and I like their model because it's all based on community, right? You're big on community, man, and this is like good representation of like technological implementation of community governance. And the whole crowd loan structure. So here's how it works. Essentially, you're a project like Acala, and Polkadot says, all right, the way to get on Polkadot is if you lock up DOT, right? You lock up DOT, and the way you can lock up DOT is that you could purchase DOT yourself, right, as a company, as a project, or you could do this crowd loan thing where you have the community lock up their own DOT, and when the community locks up that DOT, then you can use that to vote for yourself in order to be onboarded onto Polkadot.
So in essence, like that your share and the community delegation of the DOT tokens is the ecosystem's representation of like how you're performing as, in this ecosystem's case, as a parachain owner, right? Or parachain accessor, whatever you want to call it, right? So there's a lot of responsibility with that, right? You're one of the first, so you have a lot of responsibility in your hands, right? To be the first of the parachains in the network means you've got to provide a tremendous amount of value.
That's right.
And not just provide it, like from a technical standpoint, you got to get a community to support it as well, right? Because you can't just build things. If you build things and nobody wants to use them, it's useless, right? Because you have to build things and you got to get people to use these things in order for it to work. So yeah, it's a great model, dude. I think that's the reason why I like Polkadot so much. It's just like you said, it's like architected governance, technical governance, right?
Technical implementation.
It's all about community support and contribution. Which I mean, that's it, dude. That's what it's all about.
That's what crypto is all about, really. So that's probably the single most interesting thing about what Polkadot is doing. It's like the way to onboard projects onto Polkadot. And like I said, we talked about Akala in the past. If you guys kind of want to get more detail into what Akala is, definitely search for that video. But ultimately, Akala is like the DeFi hub, right, of Polkadot, right? So we always talk about these things called primitives, and these primitives are sort of like the foundational pieces of any blockchain that's needed. So one of those foundational pieces is DeFi, and another piece is like swapping those tokens, and so that's why Akala is so big, is because it's so important, right? You need something like Akala on this new network in order to facilitate the activity that's required for projects to exist, right? You have to be able to swap tokens. You have to be able to stake tokens and mine liquidity, do all that stuff that's needed. So that's why Akala is so huge. So now, I think on November 4th, they were able to sign up for this crowd loan thing, and a bunch of projects signed up, and we can kind of see what that list looks like here. So we have Moonbeam, Acala, Clover, A Star, Parallel, and Littentree, right? a lot of these projects we've already talked about. We haven't talked about Parallel or a Star. Litten Tree is great, right? We did a video about Litten Tree, definitely check that out. But so these are the projects that signed up, and now I think they're not able to. So they're starting to accrue DOT tokens locked up. So Acala has accrued almost 6 million. So that's roughly, what is it, $300 million?
Yeah, I think roughly around there.
Yeah.
So they have a healthy lead as expected. It's not like the Kusama crowd loan launch though, where I think only like Kurura was
the only one in play.
Running.
Yeah.
You know, I think, but it's to Project's advantage just to at least attempt to claim this number one spot. Just from my perspective, for a marketing, dart. Yeah. Throw darts out there, right? That's what marketers do. Like, you see if anything sticks. Like, get your name onto this parachain crowd loan list. It's an opportunity for people to, become aware of what you're doing. So right. I was expecting to see maybe like 3 times as many projects on this list, but it's still early. It's still the 6th?
The 6th.
So there's still like roughly a week left before the actual closing of this, crowd loan event. So we'll see. Maybe more projects will onboard.
Yeah. So another thing that Acala is doing is they're opening up, liquidity based on your locked up dots. So
yeah, this is big. This is big.
So there's a couple of things here to take note, but essentially you lock up your DOT tokens, and what's unlocked for you are these LC DOT tokens, right? Liquid crowd loan DOT tokens. And it's a real cryptocurrency, right? It represents your locked up tokens. You can stake them. You can provide liquidity with them. You can swap them. You can sell them. Basically, it's there was a word for this. It's basically releasing liquidity on locked up tokens, right? So
yeah, there's Ethereum primitive protocols that, that's like their singular purpose, right? I think Ramp DeFi is one of them. And we've made a couple of videos thinking about Ramp, and it's such a huge value add to the overall ecosystem, the crypto economy, to be able to unlock so much resource that's just, being staked and like just kind of collecting dust, even though it's providing a valuable function, like staking all this value into a network. But so much more can be created on top of that if you can, figure out a way how to re-extract that value. And I guess in the finance world, still don't really necessarily understand how this is possible, but
derivatives.
You can create these things called derivatives, which are basically synthetic versions of this value. And all of a sudden it's like you could just start all over again, play like you would, with your original asset. So
do you want to explain what a derivative is?
No, I do not, dude. I can't even do that.
You explained it to me. I mean, it's right.
It's not in my wheelhouse. I think I just kind of did. It's some version of, of like value representation of the origin asset. That's how I view a derivative.
Yeah.
So I kind of categorize synthetic assets and derivatives as the same thing,
Yeah.
So it's like you put one asset and you're able to derive a new one, I guess, that represents the underlying value of that original asset. And then you could use this derivative asset and apply it to different, mechanisms to create even more value out of that, create new derivatives.
Yeah.
And it's a never ending fucking tower of craziness.
Yeah. I mean, ultimately that is what a derivative is. So you take the actual asset, right? And you lock it up, right, in this crowd loan. And then you're releasing a derivative, right? LC DOT. And so there's Ethereum projects where you can kind of basically do this infinitely, right? You can create derivatives on top of derivatives. And that's essentially what we have on planet Earth right now. We have the biggest market on Earth are derivatives. They're like hundreds, thousands of trillions of dollars locked in derivatives. And for traders out there, that's fun, right? It's fun for them because you're moving billions of dollars per trade. So that's why that exists. But that's what's being implemented with Akala. So basically, contribute your DOT, you're going to receive Akala tokens. By the way, this is why you want to lock up your DOT tokens because you receive Acala tokens. And then, but you also receive the liquid crowd loan DOT token, right? And then, but just keep in mind, if you decide to trade this or whatever it is, whatever you do with it, you still need that same amount of liquid dots or liquid crowd loan dots in order to actually swap them for your underlying asset, right? The actual DOT tokens 2 years later. And
the origin dots these derivatives, stem their value from.
Right.
Like you can actually, which is weird, right? Because like they both do the same thing. Like they both have the 1-to-1 ratio of value exchange. But for some reason, like you just want to burn these synthetic ones for the original ones, even though they're the same exact thing, I guess. It's a little weird, but I don't know. But at the same time, like you're not going to be able to.
It's not that weird because Polkadot only recognizes DOT, right?
Yeah, you're right.
So
not the same thing.
Yeah. So at the end, so the value is like kind of the same, but it's not the same, right? So it's
only in this scenario it's the same. Yeah. Only in the utility of like leveraging the Akala ecosystem, they're the same thing, I think. From a value perspective. But yeah, beyond that, certain things are gonna be able to distinguish between the two, and the DOT token is always going to be the better token because it's going to give you access to more things, more parachains, right? Stuff like that.
So after locking up your DOT tokens for 2 years, you have to use your LC DOT to redeem them, right? So we got to remember you're locking up for 2 years, but you get the benefit of unlocking, some of these liquid assets upon locking. So kind of confusing. Hopefully it's not that confusing, but.
But the main takeaway though is like it because when we first heard about the parachain process, it wasn't really a thought at the time. Like you're committing your token for 2 years, and that's the end of the story. And it makes sense, like because you need that level of commitment to, like the whole architecture of this crowdloan participation is to onboard a community and to like have significant vest from these participants, like for them to contribute to the ecosystem, right? Because traditionally in IDOs, it's like you swap your token for project X token, you receive token, and then you immediately flip it. You don't really actually engage in any ecosystem development. You just kind of like move on to the next speculative play. But with this crowd loan participation model, you're locked in for a long period of time. You're kind of forced to become an actual ecosystem participant because you have a true incentive to do so. You're locked in for a couple of years to get your asset back. So you kind of want to do your part, right, and help that project growth.
And what's cool is Akala is making this functionality available for other projects. So now you're going to see this functionality about liquid crowd loan tokens be probably adopted by every single project on Polkadot, which is smart, right? You should be able to maintain liquidity, right? If you have $100,000 in DOT and you're committing to locking those up for 2 years, there's a potentially missed opportunity in like whatever else is going on in the planet, right? So they want to keep the flexibility there, and this is how they're doing it, which is good, right? So now we have Akala on Polkadot. We're going to see other projects as well getting onto Polkadot, but since Akala is the biggest one, I think it definitely deserves like keeping up with with whatever's going on with Polkadot, because I'm thinking Polkadot is going to play a pretty big role in the crypto space. I don't believe the siloed blockchain systems that we have right now is going to be ultimately sustainable. So I do think there's going to be a layer 0 winner, right? There's going to be a single layer 0 winner in blockchain. And it could be Polkadot, right? It could be Cosmos. I mean, but this is where.
What does that mean, though? What's the winning scenario? The winning scenario is like the onboarding of like all silos onto the layer 0 protocol, right? Like that's the win.
No, so when I say main winners, like Polygon's the main winner right now for second layer, but they don't have everybody, right? So Polkadot's never going to have everybody, but they're going to have probably the biggest ecosystem in general, and so. You're going to see metaverses in Polkadot. You're going to see, pretty much everything that you can think of. And so I do think there's going to be a layer 0 winner. But that's just me speculating.
Yeah, and that's what everybody is here to do, right? Like that's half the fun.
Yeah.
But of course, there's no matter how awesome Polkadot may be, there's still that Ethereum network effect. Like you cannot ignore the fact that Ethereum has the majority of the developers, like the max talent developers out there, and it's got the majority of the network capital, I think. So it's still,
but
nowhere close to being overturned. But
no, I'm not saying Ethereum would get passed up by Polkadot. What I'm saying is, look at what Akala is doing. Scale your dApp to Polkadot with Akala, an Ethereum compatible smart contract platform. So pretty much everything that you see on Polkadot, it's going to be Ethereum compatible. Moonbeam is the same way. And so whatever projects that you're launching on Ethereum, you can launch them on Polkadot with Moonbeam or whatever edgeware, right? So I think, these projects are doing it right.
Gotcha. Okay.
So yeah. Another thing I wanted to talk about is they've sort of gamified this, right? So there's going to be bonuses, right, for providing your DOT tokens. You can refer people. So if you have a good network, you can kind of refer people to stake their DOT, and then you get additional DOT in return. There's NFTs involved for those NFT aholics out there. That's available there.
Yeah, that is cool. And from my perspective, I like the idea of them, leveraging NFTs in some way. I think this is going to be standard for token launches in the future. Just some sort of, just how people gravitate towards POAP tokens, right? Like just to represent their attendance of things. Like I was here, I was there. I have a token to prove that. This is the same thing. This is essentially a POAP. Like I was here, I was there at this Crowdloan launch, and I forever have evidence of that, right? So fuck you, guy, 10 years from now who, like I got something to like shove in your face. Like, imagine if I had Satoshi's freaking POAP, dude. Like I was one of the first Bitcoin miners, and Satoshi gave me this, like I'm that cool.
Yeah.
Right. But NFTs didn't exist back then. So,
or like an NFT that represents that you purchased Apple stock when it was like, 5 cents.
Yeah, exactly. So the value of that, who knows? I mean, there's collector value in anything these days, but that could give you access to things. Maybe the Polkadot Foundation will figure out a way how to reward these super early contributors, holders of these NFTs. Like that's kind of the purpose of them, right? The utility of them.
Yeah.
But yeah, I mean, it's not something. It's important, these NFTs, and it's good to see big projects like this incorporate them.
Yeah, totally agree. And we're going to see a kind of a deeper level integration with NFTs with these DeFi projects. I think it's still to come though, but NFTs are going to play a big role, not just in games, but in DeFi products like Polkadot and Acala for that matter. So that's been Akala. That's we've talked about Polkadot, Crowdloans, and we're going to be keeping up with this stuff. We inherently like this type of sector in the crypto space. It's probably the single most important sector, right? DeFi in all of crypto. So we're going to keep up with this. Let us know if you have any questions in the comments below. Like and subscribe. Follow us on Twitter at The Block Runner and also at MetaZone.io for that matter. And we will catch you in the next video.
Peace.